she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no breaks, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my.
If you always feel like you're not good enough, no matter what you achieve, you might have imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is something that affects a lot of people, even highly successful people. Now, today's video, I'm going to talk about ways you can overcome imposter syndrome. What you need to do is to recognize and acknowledge that you might or have imposter syndrome. If you're starting to have feelings of self-doubt or fear that people are going to see that you're not good enough, you need to recognize that, okay, right now I'm having imposter syndrome. A lot of times when we have feelings that we can't put a name to, they haunt us and they eat us up because we don't know what's wrong with us. We just know that something is wrong. But when you start to feel self-doubt, you start to feel fear that, okay, people are going to really realize that, okay, something is wrong with me. Then you need to quickly put a finger on it. You know that imposter syndrome is not necessarily true. So if you can tell yourself, okay, right now I'm experiencing imposter syndrome, that means the things that I'm thinking right now are not exactly true. I know that I feel fear that people are going to find out. I know that I feel like I'm not good enough, or I feel like I can't achieve this. But it's just my imposter syndrome talking. Therefore, I don't have to believe it. The other thing you can do is to reframe the negative thoughts. Telling yourself that I can't achieve this, or I don't know if I'm good enough for this, or I don't know if I have the skill set. That's negative self-talk. Whether you have the skill set or you don't. Sometimes you just genuinely don't, and it's okay. But you don't have to give yourself negative thoughts. You need to reframe those negative thoughts. You need to stop yourself, separate these thoughts, and look at them as a box of negative thoughts. Think about it and say, what evidence do I have that proves that I do not deserve this, or I can't have this? Now, in some cases, you might be able to find evidence, but in the event that you don't find evidence, that's one sign that you don't have to be saying these things to yourself. But if you do find evidence, now you need to think about all the reasons why you deserve it. For example, you want to get a promotion. Instead of saying, do I deserve a promotion? Can I handle the tasks that come with a promotion? You need to say, I have worked really hard for this. Because it's true, you've worked hard. Not always undermine the work that you've put in. I've worked really hard for this. Therefore, the responsibilities that are going to come with the promotion, I will be able to handle them. So that's another way of being on your imposter syndrome. Embrace your mistakes. Mistakes are not a record that you're a failure. Mistakes are a learning curve. You need to make a mistake and learn, how do I do better in this particular scenario the next time? That's how you need to process mistakes. Making mistakes is giving you fear of acting or fear of working on something. When you're not afraid to fail, you go for whatever you want, because when you fail, you know that you have some kind of measure of what do I do next. Instead of using the fear to cripple you and say, oh, what if I don't do it? Okay, what if you don't do it? So what? Like, what's gonna happen? Okay, if you fail the test, you are going to have to redo it. Is that the worst? There are more worse things in this life than failing a test. There's a lot more worse. In every particular situation, there will always be a worse situation than that one. So don't let that cripple you. Don't let that dig you into a hole of negativity, a hole of failure, a hole of... You can achieve more even after failure, no matter what degree of failure that you have. Look at failure as part of the learning process, because no one is perfect. Even those that are passing the test when you're not passing the test, they are not perfect. So you're completely human, you're completely fine. And just because you failed a test is not the end all be all. Another thing you can do is to celebrate your achievements. Celebrating your achievements, no matter how small, is really good. It really helps in combating imposter syndrome, because when you celebrate that you've achieved, as opposed to ignoring it or attributing it to something else like luck, it becomes like bigger. When you say, oh, it was just nothing, the success becomes smaller in your mind, and your fears and your failures become bigger and bigger and bigger. So no matter how small the success is, you need to celebrate it, because it's going to be like a checkpoint in your mind that, okay, I succeeded at this time. I succeeded. But when you don't celebrate, you forget it, because you're like, what was that? That was nothing. You need to recognize that your successes are due to your efforts, not just due to luck, not just due to something else that's not your efforts. So at celebrating your success is going to really help you to combat imposter syndrome. It's keeping a success journal. Especially if you're someone who, in fact, just for everybody, even if you don't suffer from imposter syndrome often, keeping a success journal keeps you in a positive state of mind, keeps you in a state of gratitude, as opposed to negativity and negative mindset. So you need to write all the successes that you've achieved in the day, in the week, in the month. This will help you keep a positive streak. The next thing you can do is to seek support. So if you have someone who's like a mentor or a peer or like a friend or like a family member that cares for you, you need to seek support, because imposter syndrome really thrives in isolation. So if you talk to someone that you know cares for you, someone that you know tells you the truth and pushes you to be your best, you need to talk to them that right now I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to achieve it. Chances are they're going to encourage you, because all the people that have achieved things, it's not because they have something that you don't. They probably worked hard and you're working hard to achieve something. Talking to someone can really, really help shed some light on the fact that you're actually doing your best and you're doing well. I struggled with imposter syndrome when I was having a pageant, and I realized that the more that I spent time by myself, it would just eat me up. It would eat me up. It was so crippling, and it would eat me up, and I would spend a large portion of time worrying rather than doing and working and acting. So I highly suggest you speak to someone who cares about you. You need to practice compassion. You have imposter syndrome, you put so much pressure on yourself to be something. But you don't have to put that pressure on yourself. You're putting pressure on yourself. You don't have to. You can just tell yourself that, oh, I'm doing my best. Especially if you're doing your best. If you're not doing your best, you better start doing your best, because you can't expect to not do your best and still be successful and feel good about yourself. Practice talking positively to yourself. I deserve good things. I deserve this promotion because I'm working hard. I deserve pass because I've worked so hard and I studied so hard. Sometimes it's all in your head, and you need to work on being kind to yourself, being compassionate, being understanding of yourself instead of judging yourself so harshly. Another thing you can do is to shift your mindset from perfection to learning and growth. Usually imposter syndrome is focused on, for example, in my pageant, I really wanted to win the pageant. And I was so focused on, I have to win. And then I would start asking myself, do I deserve to win? Am I good enough to win? Sometimes you need to focus on the process, the growth. There was a lot that I've not experienced, and there were a lot of girls who have been working on their talents, who have been into pageants for a long time. The thing that I needed to focus on more was growing as a person in the pageant world. So I needed to work on my talents. I'm this type of person that I want to start something, but then I lose interest in it. So during this pageant, I had to work on different skill sets of mine, from walking in heels.
Титула «Мисс Творчества» проекта Грация Интернешнл 2024 года Рутенда Рузиве.
Sewing, because I did a lot of sewing for my costumes for the pageant, to dance, to acting, to creativity. So all of that on one person was an opportunity for me to grow and to learn. But instead I was more focused on, I want to win, Sometimes that's not it. Sometimes that's not where you are in life, and it's okay. It's completely fine.
Честно, я не могу сказать, сколько времени, потому что было много. Я каждую неделю репетировала за творческий 4 часа или больше, поэтому не могу сказать.
It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It just means that you're learning and you're growing. Just like I said in the previous point, you need to keep a growth mindset. I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly growing. I know that in my pageant experience, I grew as a person a lot because, like I said, there were a lot of aspects of my life that I had to work on.
Время для придумать одежду на творчески было много тоже, потому что я сама сделала и подумала, ткань какая нужна.
Social interaction, which is not exactly my strongest suit.
Представительница Зимбабве. Здравствуйте, Рутенда.
Добрый вечер.
Поздравляем вас с наградой, с победой.
I adapt to people, get comfortable, then I socialize. But in that situation, there was not enough frame time for me to adapt to the people. So I had to force myself to be more social, a little bit more social, a little bit more outgoing. It was just one aspect of my life that I was working on. Seeing this as like I am growing as an individual is the mindset that's going to help you combat imposter syndrome. Now, I'm not saying you should always like be the bottom of the barrel and not think about winning, but imposter syndrome is not helping you to reach there. Imposter syndrome is crippling you, it's stopping you. At the end of the day, you have done nothing and you have nothing to show for it. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. I want you guys to check out my video on signs that you might have imposter syndrome. I go in detail on all the signs that you might have imposter syndrome. So thank you guys for watching. I encourage you guys to incorporate at least 2 tips in your daily life to combat imposter syndrome. Celebrate your success every day, or seek help, or reframe the negative mindset. So pick 2 that you're going to incorporate into your daily life. Now, I want you guys to tell me in the comment section below, what's one tip you're going to incorporate into your life today to combat imposter syndrome? I really hope this video was helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on your post notifications, like this video, and stay tuned for more. Bye!